I'm totally buying this.
Isn't it really expensive?
I don't care. I'm getting it.
Ha! April Fools, idiots. He would never do that. Welcome to Geek versus Geek, where our faithful tech writers spout off about all things tech. Dave is our editorial director of eHow Tech and author of 3 dozen books. Rick writes about technology for CNET, eHow, and elsewhere. He's also the author of The Cheapskate Rules, 21 Easy Money-Saving Tech Secrets. Time to get serious. First up, we've got our segment, Worth It? Our first order of business is fitness bands. You know, those wearable gadgets like the Nike Fuel Band or the Fitbit. Are they worth it? Dave, you're wearing one, so I'm guessing you're saying yes.
Yeah, so I've got a basis on right now, and there's the question about not just am I wearing it, but is the whole class of products, Fitbits, Fitbugs, Nike Fuel Bands, are any of them worth it? And do they have long-term value, or are they something that you buy, you wear for a week, a couple of months, and then you just leave it lying in a closet somewhere?
And I think that's really the key question about the long-term value, because anecdotally, people I know who have purchased these devices, they kind of use them hot and heavy for maybe a month or two, and then they realize that it's maybe not worth the hassle of keeping them charged and keeping them synced, and the return that they're getting is not really doing much for them. So I think there's kind of a honeymoon period, and then they kind of just lose interest.
I think it depends upon the one you choose to get. Some have better software than others. That's, you know, I hate to always keep talking about how awesome the basis is, but I really do like this thing because it gives you a whole bunch of different things to do. So even if you're not like staying totally on track over the course of the week, if you do some of them, it encourages you to keep doing more. It's like today, there are probably easily half a dozen, like little mini tasks. Wake up on time, walk 10,000 steps during the day, go for a morning run, an afternoon walk. And if you do each one of these, you get credit and it encourages you to keep working at it. If you are already either in shape or on your way to being in shape and you are the kind of person that's inclined to exercise, it's kind of like preaching to the choir. You're probably going to wear one of these. But if you're totally out of shape, like Rick, and you're not inclined to exercise or treat your body right, then it's an uphill battle to wear it and consistently use it.
What's the price point on these? Because I think one of the biggest things is the price point, because you can buy a pedometer for $1.
Yeah,
you know?
The prices for these range anywhere from about $50 at the low end to, I think this is probably the priciest one. It's $200. And when I buy a gadget, I make sure it is the most expensive product in its category, really. Otherwise, why bother?
That's how he justifies the worth, because I spent a lot for it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they've cracked the code yet to come up with like kind of the ultimate device that does everything that everybody needs or wants, and especially at the right price. You know, $100, $150 for something like this is not out of the question. I just think the return you're getting on it is not maybe worth it.
Well, the bottom line, it looks like Dave says totally worth it. It's going to improve your health and your quality of life. Rick says it's a little bit pricey for what it is. Welcome to today's topic. It's a battleground of ideas, like Mexican wrestling in English. And believe me, I have been trying to get these guys to wear those fun masks for years. Today's topic, screen time for kids. How much should they get and how much is too much? Rick, do you want to start?
Now, this is a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I'm constantly grappling with the idea of how much screen time is too much for my kids. My daughter is 14, my son is 11, and they are on screens, it seems like 24/7.
That's like the prime age for screen time.
Yeah, but even younger kids as well. And between the computer and the tablet and the phone and the iPod and the television, of course, there's just a nonstop deluge of screens everywhere they go. And I just really am grappling with whether or not this is a wholly positive thing, a wholly negative thing, somewhere in the middle. You know, as a parent, I don't want my kids to just constantly be glued to a screen and not able to interact with other people.
Well, aren't you kind of overreacting a little bit? I mean, every generation goes through this. Back in the 30s, parents thought, no, I'm sorry, I apologize that I know history. Back in the 1930s, parents were freaking out about comic books, that comic books were evil, and that's what led to the comic book code and that sort of thing. And then in the 50s and the 60s, it was television, and then rock and roll music was evil. And now, these days, it's just, oh, the second screen. My iPad is going to ruin my children forever. When I was a kid, I watched way too much TV. I would come home from school, turn on the TV, and I would watch it until my parents dragged my limp, lifeless body to bed at, 9 o'clock at night. Saturday, all day. Cartoons and monster movies and that sort of thing.
I hear what you're saying, and I too am the byproduct of probably way too much TV and the Saturday morning cartoons and the whole 9 yards. In fact, when I got my first computer, an Apple IIe, I was glued to it. I used it all day, every day, it seemed like.
How did you use your Apple IIe versus how are your kids using their iPhone, iPad, computer today?
Obviously, you can do exponentially more today with any computer than you could back in my day. And between things like Minecraft and Candy Crush and the internet and YouTube and all of that goes with it, there's so many more pulls, I think, towards the screens than there were where, you were just writing a little ASCII code to make, a sentence appear from top to bottom of the screen. And again, I don't presume to have the answer to this. I just know that it's a concern for me, and not just for me, but for a lot of parents. And I wonder, is this excess of screen time to the detriment of their development and especially their social skills? Because if they're constantly texting each other and they're constantly focusing on the computer, then they're not interacting with each other.
Well, I think I'm ready to declare a winner this week, and this week it is Dave. Yes, Dave wins this one because it's true. Every generation has griped about too many comic books, too much TV. I was raised on the Thundercats and Saturday morning cartoons all the way to Carol Burnett show, and I turned out great. Hey, remember Gilligan's Island? Those guys had everything. Where did all that stuff come from? If we were really trapped on an island, you'd probably be able to have just one thing. And that is the concept behind our segment, Desert Island Tech, where Dave and Rick pick their one essential gadget that they want to be trapped on the island with. So Rick, let's start with you.
What I'm going to bring with me is the jumper card, which is a little battery pack that can power a variety of mobile devices. So this little fold-out arm has 3 different types of connectors: Apple 30-pin, Apple Lightning, and micro USB. So it is platform agnostic. It's got a built-in rechargeable battery. Now this is not going to top off your phone. It's really more for emergency power, like if you just need to make one rescue call to try to get off the island. It itself recharges via USB.
Wow.
And it even has, for all your nighttime island emergencies, a built-in little flashlight.
Wow.
And as you can see, it's thin enough that it can go, they say in your wallet. It'd be a little thick for a wallet maybe, but it could easily slip into a purse or a pocket or whatever. You'd barely know it's there. And boom, you got a little emergency power when you need it. This is actually a Kickstarter project right now, although it should be close to shipping, if not already. And I believe it's going to be selling in the neighborhood of like 25 bucks. So it's not like crazy overpriced. It's something you kind of just grab.
That's a pretty good price.
Yeah.
The only downside of something like this is the battery capacity is very limited.
It is limited. And as I said, it's really intended for emergency power, just to get you through like a couple of phone calls, a couple of text messages, the last few minutes of an episode of Sherlock, that sort of thing.
What I've got this week is going to blow your mind.
The single most practical island item ever.
The 3Doodler. All right, now it has a weird name, but you can think of it as, it basically looks like a glue gun. And it is kind of like that because you take plastic and you feed it through the back and then it comes out melty on the front end. But the difference is it's like a 3D printer you hold in your hand. You press this button and when you hold it down, the plastic comes out in a stream and it cools and hardens almost instantly. And that means that not only can you draw things on a flat table or on a piece of paper, you can make things in 3 dimensions. So this costs $100, which is so unbelievably cheap. I was telling the folks that sold this, they're giving it away too cheap because people that want a 3Doodler would probably pay twice this price for it.
Well, that about does it for us here at Geek vs. Geek. Thanks so much for watching. What do you guys think of the show? We want to hear from you, so let us know on Facebook, Twitter, or email, and we will see you next time on Geek vs. Geek.